All right, I wanted to get back to the scandalous news from the NBA about the gambling and the poker and the prop bet shaving. It doesn't feel like point shaving is the right way to put it when you're doing it for a prop bet. But anyway, I saw a lot of people kind of downplay the magnitude of this. Brian Windhorst, a lot of I like Brian a lot, respect Brian a lot, and he said he did not think that this would be the sort of thing that would shake the NBA to its core. And it's not. I find that a bit shocking. Like, I bet if this happened in baseball, it would shake them to the core. Just because I guess they have a different level of petrification, if that's a word, when it comes to these things. But to me, what was alleged and some of the kind of sort of tentacles that spread from it, I thought they were ginormous. I think that they are a very, very big deal. And I think that it is dangerous for all parties involved to kind of act like, why me worry on this situation? Like, help me out here. And you tell me if I'm crazy. But everybody's innocent until proven guilty, all of that stuff. But if Chauncey Billups did what he is accused of doing, that is between him and the poker players, the whole rigging of the game. And Ryan, my good buddy Nick. You have worked with my buddy Nick before you worked on this show. And I don't know. First of all, there's been no story ever that had Nick Wright's name written all over it, quite like this confluence of basketball and high-stakes poker. But he did a very good podcast on this that you need to check out because, again, this is the Nick Wright Olympics. But the level of personal offense he took to the idea that Chauncey Billups was running a rigged game. Like, he was just this is straight up
talk about
theft.
Someone who has a strong moral character about cheating and stealing.
Yes.
It actually makes him very, very mad.
And specifically in this world.
Correct.
He was just like, look, this is just straight up theft if this is what he's doing. And that is, there's no other way to put it, but that's between them, right? That's between the poker people, if that's what it is. However, look, I talked to multiple people over the weekend and who said the same thing to me unsolicited, which was, you could have given me 100 guesses, and I never would have thought that Chauncey Billups was the person who was caught up in this. I cannot believe for a moment that all of those people completely got it wrong about that guy. I mean, these people that know things, people that, ain't just a bunch of marks. They don't see it, right? They just could not believe this with Chauncey Billups. If the allegations are true, I would assume, and I think this is the safest assumption. This would be if it was Chauncey Billups or anybody else. But I believe that the safest assumption is that he owes somebody some money. One way or another, he owes somebody some money. And that means, if the allegations are true, that the head coach of an NBA team got himself into the pocket of organized crime figures. An NBA Hall of Famer, no less. I do not understand how that could not terrify you if you have any sort of role with the NBA. Because for me, the story of this is what it has exposed and laid bare is just how susceptible all parties involved are to getting caught up in this. And by the way, right now, we're just talking about the players. We're not even talking about the most vulnerable people in professional sports when it comes to gambling things, the people that have the greatest control over the outcome, and those are the referees, right? Like right now, we're at the class of guys that can most easily turn into big headlines. But I don't see how in the world anybody could look at this and not feel that this is a league that is incredibly vulnerable to worst case scenario. And the truth is, the league has always been incredibly vulnerable to worst case scenario because this particular game is vulnerable to worst case scenario. It's not about the people who play it or anything specific there. It is truly simply about the structure of the game. I don't know how you can't be scared. Now, the Damon Jones stuff, that part wouldn't worry me. Because again, he create like what he's accused of, and that's passing information on to gamblers. I mean, that creates problems. But I was talking to my brother about this, and he made a great point that that is a violation of the norms of the gambling world. Like, I don't think our ability to appreciate watching basketball matters that much based upon what's happening with the lines, right? Like that does not threaten the integrity of
That's not cheating. That's not cheating the game.
correct. That is not threatening the integrity of the game of basketball. That is threatening the integrity of the lines that are set by betting houses. I agree that if you say that that's not a big deal, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, I see how it is that you could get to that place. That is a different sort of morality. Just like the morality on Chauncey Billups running poker game scams is clear, but I don't go to that school. You know, like I don't even really know what they get over there and they can do what they want, right? But it lets us know how quickly and easily this can get out of hand if it comes to that. Like, I have the questions that I have about this are exactly how did this happen for everybody involved. I got a decent idea of how it happened with Damon Jones. Like, I haven't seen how much people have talked about this, so I don't feel like I'm the one that needs to break this out. But let's just say that where people are like, if you gave me 100 guesses, I wouldn't have believed that Chauncey Billups would have been somebody to catch up on it. If you'd have gave people 3 guesses, Damon Jones probably would have got one of them. Like that one, that one is a little bit different. Like people saw that coming. But if a dude that made $100 million in the league and that's on the court winds up in this situation, oh no. You got problems. You got problems because there's no telling what happens next. Like, and by the way, Chauncey Billups was alleged to have fed information in the other suit. He's not named explicitly, but it's him. Unless there was somebody else who played in the NBA from 1997 to 2014 and was an NBA basketball coach. Um, he he's there. He's there. This matters as far as I can tell. From where I stand, this is where everybody needs to sit up and pay attention and ask yourselves where exactly this could wind up going. All right, I want to say this though, and I think this is an important thing because I think the NBA is getting a bad rap on something, and that is the NBA knew that the FBI was looking into it with Terry Rozier. The NBA looked into it themselves with Terry Rozier. They did an investigation, nothing came back. The word cleared had been used, and they need to stop doing that because the NBA investigating and not finding something isn't the same thing as clearing somebody. Like, you notice who normally doesn't use any language like that? Prosecutors. They just be like, we ain't got you right now, you guilty motherfucker. Right? Like that's how they get down. You can't say clear just because you did not find anything, unless you found something like definitive in another direction. But it's very difficult to assert a negative, right? You got to be careful when you play that game. But anyway, I've seen people make the point that the NBA investigated, it came back as nothing, and now the feds got something, and that somehow that's some kind of indictment of the NBA because they didn't find something or because they knew the federal government was looking into Rozier, and then they still continued to allow Terry Rozier to play. Now, on one point, which is how did the NBA not find something if there is something? And by the way, we're still in the if stage. How did the NBA not find something if there is something? This is a quote from Adam Silver that I think is correct. The federal government has subpoena power. It can threaten to put people in jail. It can do all kinds of things that a league office can't do. So we've been working with them since then. Right. They can't. They can snoop on you. They can follow you around. They can find out, who your girl is and who that girl is that ain't your girl and all of that stuff, right? But they ain't necessarily going to be able to get behind this. Ain't nobody got to talk to them. Hey, it's Adam Silver and I demand answers. Yeah, I bet you do, right? Like you might be able to demand some answers from Terry Rozier, but the people you need to talk to, criminals. Yeah, sure, Mr. Commissioner, anything to help. I've always been a fan. No, that's not going to happen. Number two, just want to throw this out here. The good folks at the University of Dayton were kind enough to invite me to campus. I was there last week, and I was there and I want to make sure I get the exact wording on why I was there. I was there serving serving the Roger Brown residency in social justice, writing, and sport at the University of Dayton. It was a wonderfully fulfilling time. And I'll be honest, I didn't know that much about Roger Brown before I agreed to do the residency. But Roger Brown was a great high school player in the late 50s and early 60s with in New York City. Connie Hawkins was his contemporary. And like Connie Hawkins, he got caught up in that he met a dude named Jack Molinas, who is a very historically important figure that you can look up. Molinas. Molinas was a gambler. Molinas been involved in a lot of point shaving. And Roger Brown knew Molinas, just like Connie Hawkins knew Molinas. And once the word got around that he knew Jack Molinas, the University of Dayton put him out of school, expelled him. The NBA issued a lifetime ban against Brown. A lifetime ban. Eventually, in 1967, he began his career. He played in the ABA. The Pacers have retired his jersey. He eventually made the Basketball Hall of Fame. All of those things. But the key here is there was no evidence against him. None. He wound up suing the NBA. He eventually came out on top in the lawsuit, won a judgment of $420,000. But by that time, he just decided to stay in the ABA, and that was his career. I bring that up to say the NBA has already tried to not let somebody play simply based on an allegation, and they lost in court. So you hear where I'm coming from here, right? Like they weren't just going to be in a position where they were just going to tell Terry Rozier, you can't play for who knows how long. That wasn't going to happen just on the basis of an investigation. If they had, I would have understood why, but this is not something that I think the league itself believes that it can do. Now, Ryan, I do have this question. I don't really know the difference between this and Malik Beasley.
I mean, this line of like these player props that are like just like, I'm hurt, bet my unders. Essentially, I'm gonna fake an injury.
Yes,
is kind of almost impossible to regulate unless these books decide we're only gonna make these props one way bets. So essentially, it's like you can only bet the over.
Yeah, and look, the Beasley case seems shaky.
Right.
Like
he wasn't mentioned in any of this.
Yeah, he wasn't mentioned in any of this at all. But he's not working for anybody right now.
Right.
Now, granted, he appears to be a bundle of surprises no matter what, right? Like,
right.
You ain't gonna tell me he
the first unpredictable character, if you will.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna tell me he the first broke-ass NBA player, right? You ain't gonna tell me he the first one to like owe some people some money and get tossed out or whatever it is. But I don't understand how everything works. But I do understand how it is that the NBA would allow Rozier to continue playing in the face of these allegations if they looked into it and they didn't have anything. Like, them boys got a union for a reason. That's not the place to come down on the NBA. Other than Adam Silver wrote that op-ed in 2014 that he's always going to have his name on about why you should legalize gambling or make it okay. But even that, I don't think it's his fault. I don't think that this is anything to blame on the NBA. But it damn sure something they better figure out how to fix. And I don't have the answers as to how.